Hi class, and welcome to the Great Green Shootout. Here we can see how to really get a nice green and the ones that can cause trouble in your paintings very easily. To start with, I'm going to use burnt umber and yellow. What? No blue? No, you don't need to start with blue. It can really make terrible greens that can ruin your paintings quicker than you think. Okay, here we go with the burnt umber. So here with the burnt umber, you can see you get these very subtle greens. Okay, they're not green, but when you're painting the landscape, if you look at like the side of a tree, this will be perfect for highlights on foliage. So it's really handy for when you're first blocking in, so the bright green doesn't put your eye out when you're trying to judge tones and colours. The next one, which I often use, is black. This is a carbon black, still with the cadmium yellow light, and you'll see how that affects it. Black's got a blue undertone, so it's like using a very muted blue to get a green. You only need a small amount of black to make a big difference to your yellow. This has got a lot higher tinting strength than your yellow, especially if this was a transparent yellow like Hansa yellow or lemon yellow.
Thanks for reminding me that I care, that having a broader landscape doesn't mean a loss to focus. We can still glow in the dark like people should, and read a lot from books that talk about the things that we love. City has breathed a lyrical life back into me, and this city has made everything that I read or hear feel like poetry.
So here you can see with the ultramarine blue, it goes a lot, well obviously a lot bluer, you've got a lot bluier green here, but this black and the yellow makes a very nice green in between these two. So if you don't want to go as subtle with the brown, black is often a very good choice. Again with the phthalo blue, be very careful, you only need a small amount to change it.
landscape doesn't mean a loss to focus. We can still glow in the dark like people should, and read a lot from books and talk about the things that we love.
So here you can see when we look at the mass tones of the colours, as in how dark they are, this Tharlo blue green looks very dark, darker than the ultramarine blue, but mixed with the yellow it suddenly gets a lot more vivid, what I would call an acid green, coming especially on this one here. So as far as the shootout goes, my money is on the black and the yellow. This is the one I'd probably use most to create a nice balance and a tonal painting. I might use a bit of the ultramarine blue just for an odd punch, but more than likely I'd use a glaze to warm up the colour rather than using a pure opaque finish. If you'd like to learn more about colour mixing and how to get the perfect landscapes, have a look at my website at wilkembartschool.com. Which one's your favourite? Let me know in the comments below. Morning class, today we're going to have a look at black. This is a Mars black, this is a pre-mix black, and it's very opaque. You can see here on the colour swatch that it's completely covered over the lines that are usually under a paint tube, so you can judge its opacity. If you look here, you can see the black lines are showing through, but on the pre-mix Mars black, it just completely obliterates them. To give you a quick idea of its undertone, we'll add a little bit of white. And when you're mixing black, you only need a very small amount compared to the other colour that you're using or the other paint you're using. Okay, we can see that that's quite a nice neutral, grey on that. This can be very useful to tone down your paintings. Don't be scared of them going too muddy. It only goes too muddy if you start to add in too much black, as in if you started to add in too much of any dark colour to your mixes. You can also make blacks by mixing other colours, so we'll start with ultramarine blue and burnt umber. When you're mixing the black between these two, you always need more of the blue than you do of the burnt umber. So if we start with, say, I don't know, what's that, 2 to 1? Well, that's a bit more like 2 to 1. So when I compare those two, I can still see that the underlying blue in this one compared to the black of that. So I'll add a bit more of the burnt umber. And that's about as black as we can go with these pre-mixed colours. Just to show you its undertone. You can instantly see that that one's a lot bluer. Of course, what's nice about this is that you can use warm and cool colours, which are often very effective in your paintings. So if I add some more of the burnt umber into this, and then a bit of the white, you see it has more of a neutral tone to it. In fact, it's even warmer than that initial black. So you can, maybe add a bit more of that if you want, to try and get a tone that's very, very close to this one above. If you want to still just use a blue and a brown, you can go one stage further and use Prussian blue. Prussian blue is a pre-mixed blue, and it's actually made from a combination of like Tharlo blue and black in it. If you look on the label of the colour, if you can see that there, on here it says it's got carbonised bones in it, and it's got the real thing to look out for is PB. If anything says PB, it means it has got the pigment of black in the paint. It's definitely closer in terms of its blackness in comparison to this one. You see how much more blue and undertone this has compared to this black here, which is a lot more neutral. Again, you can try to neutralise it when you're mixing by just putting a bit more of the burnt umber into it. You see how that is definitely closer to this colour here. It's a bit greenier though than this one. You can also mix Prussian blue with other earth colours such as burnt sienna, burnt umber or umber, and you'll also get, you know, a colour pretty close to black. So this is some Prussian blue with a bit of burnt sienna. So the neutralising effect of having the blue and the orange, you know, because they're complementary colours, that's what helps to get you this dark colour. I mean, considering how warm this is, and it still looks quite a browny base, it's quite surprising how blue the undertone is.